Hello there and welcome to the garden. So today I am actually planting some radishes and borage. It's kind of a funny day to be planting because we actually have a chance of snow. You'll probably notice it's kind of cloudy out here. So we have, I don't know, a pretty high percentage of some snow coming in. The clouds are starting to look like that, but I'm still gonna go ahead and plant these because we're gonna have a lot of warm weather coming up. Other than today, which is a little bit of an exception, we are gonna have temperatures in about the 40s or 50s during the day, just over freezing, 30s Fahrenheit at night. So it's kind of the perfect time to plant radishes. Typically, they say about 4 to 6 weeks before your average last frost, which is we're about 6 weeks out for radishes. And then for the borage, this is also another one that you can plant early. It says you can direct sow as soon as the soil can be worked in the spring, and so our soil is totally workable right now. I am in zone 7A in Virginia, and we've had a pretty warm winter. This has been a pretty warm February in general, but even with that said, typically in February our soil is workable. We don't really get like a frozen solid soil unless we have a random kind of cold snap. So borage will be fun. Now, typically a lot of borage that you see is a blue color, but this is actually a really pretty white, which I think will be kind of interesting. And borage is just such an easy plant. Like if you want something to just grow, to really attract the pollinators that you don't have to fuss with or mess with, I highly recommend borage. It was one of the first things I grew in one of my very first gardens, and it grew really well for me. It was just a really good confidence booster. And it's, yeah, just a pretty early flower. And as I said, the bees, the pollinators, absolutely love it. So I haven't grown it in a couple years, but I found the white variety and I thought it'd be kind of cool to stick in, maybe just in like a couple places. Typically it doesn't last all season for me, so you could do succession planting. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but it'll kind of bloom for a little while and then peter out. So it's not going to be like something that grows all the way till your first frost in the fall. You're going to have to think about probably either succession sowing it or replacing it with something else. Maybe, I don't know, in end of June, probably it'll be kind of done for me. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I've got a couple spots where I think I can get it started and then replace it with something else later, and that'll be fun. So we're going to do that. And then the radishes that I'm growing, I've got a couple. So I have kind of, let me grab this. Actually, let me put the camera up and just make life a little easier. Okay, so for the radishes, I'm only going to do a couple radishes because I don't have a lot of space, but I want to just grow a few. So I have this white icicle, which is kind of a pretty, they say a mile less peppery than other varieties. So if you're not a big radish eater, this is a little bit milder, which is kind of nice. Oh, here comes the snow. It's starting, that's okay. This is a little bit easier to deal with, and it's like 28 to 35 days to harvest, so that's amazing. The fun thing about radishes are that they are just such a quick turnaround. And then I also have this sparkler white top, so kind of a classic looking radish, so that'll be really delicious for on salads and things like that. And again, 30 days to maturity, so end of March we should be having radishes, which would be really nice. And then I also have a little bit of a different style of radish, but this is a rat's tail, so you actually grow it for the seed pods of the radish rather than the radish root. And let's see how many days, 40 to 50 days to maturity, it's going to flower and then have to produce seed pods. But I thought this would be kind of fun. I'm sort of going for like the cottage garden look and a little bit of a whimsical vibe in the garden this year. And so I thought that this would kind of have that cottagey, whimsical, you know, look. Okay. So we're going to plant we're going to plant these in the back of this bed under the row cover. We are going to plant some of these in a container and then a couple into the raised bed. I also have this variety called Rivoli, and I don't really know anything about it because there's, let's see, there's not really any details on the actual variety on the packet here, but I got these. They were gifted to me from Park Seed, and I'm just gonna stick them in and kind of see what happens and let them be a little bit of a surprise. So these are gonna go in the raised bed. We'll do these in a container, and then we'll do the borage over in the landscape. See how far we can go with all this snow coming down. Underneath this row cover, I have, so I have some onions that I started from sets. These are coming up. And then we have a little bit of Russian sage. Looks like this one is doing well and coming back. I don't know if this guy made it. We'll see. I'm gonna leave it a little bit longer. I don't want to take it out in case it is just still dormant. And then I stuck my foxglove, and this is actually some cilantro and parsley in here that's growing. So I'm just gonna leave this little section over here, a few perennials over in this area, and I'm gonna do flowers. But I'm just gonna pop a clump of the rat's tail radishes in this area and let that kind of grow up and hopefully produce a lot of radishes. And they'll grow up and really be maturing by the time all of these guys are even just really getting going. So hopefully it'll add a little bit of a succession kind of look. So I gotta pull out the weeds and just work up the soil a little bit. Just trying to make this ready to plant. And I love to plant things like, I am a huge fan of intermixing different plants, and it's a little bit tricky sometimes, but with the Russian sage, with the perennial like that, you know, they take a little bit of a while to get going and really come up and flush out. So this is 40 to 50 days. I mean, that puts me not even really till April before I'm going to be harvesting these. So well before the Russian sage really needs all that space or is really putting off a big show. So hopefully that works out. I am learning more and more to just follow the advice of, you know, all the real gardeners and the garden planners that always say to plant in clumps, plant in big like drifts and stretches of plants. I was gonna maybe put this in 2 different places, but I really only had enough seeds to do this one area, and you do get a better impact. Even in a small garden, it's sort of easier on the eye, garden design wise, and you get a better impact if you just go ahead and plant like a bunch in one area. Otherwise, if you mix them around too much, then it doesn't really show up when you're actually looking at the garden. So I just put all of my seeds in that one area, and we'll just leave it like that. The snow is really starting to come down now, but it doesn't feel that cold out here. All right, I had to go change because it's starting to get colder out here as the snow starts coming down. But we got all those things planted, which is exciting. And even though it is snowy and feeling wintry right now, I know that literally by tomorrow it'll be feeling like spring again, and all of these seeds will get a chance to come up and start really growing, and that's going to be great. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next video. Bye bye.